Smiles, camaraderie and noise. Welcome to West London and the Community Stadium, the home of the Bees, Brentford.
In the heart of South Dakota lies a town called Brentford. You probably never heard of it, and the same might be said of its English counterpart, Brentford Football Club.
Who are they?
Squeezed inside the UK capital, this club, who've lived in the lower leagues for more than 70 years.
Brentford in the Premier League?
Nah. Yeah, that's right.
Began dreaming of and plotting a way to take their team out of obscurity.
We need to try and do things in a radically different way. We had a much less budget than our competitors, so we need to use other weapons to win the battle, really.
Ripping a page out of Major League Baseball, or even Hollywood.
Because they were a team with no money and having to play against teams with big money, the game was unfair. They would never be able to compete without finding.
Brentford adopted Moneyball.
And these guys ended up questioning the entire system, and in turn, what happened is they changed the game.
And changed the game they did, one player after another, each piece of business paid off.
The pain of playoffs past is banished. The Premier League beckons for Thomas Frank and Brentford.
I never thought this day would come.
Landing the mighty Bees back in the big time.
And Brentford are finally in amongst the elite. The fans are back.
I'm gonna be there.
I'm gonna be there.
I'm going to be there too.
And boy, can you hear them.
I would describe the club to someone who's never heard it before that they're probably wise to never have heard of it, because Brentford have been in the doldrums, a very small club in the bottom two divisions for most of the last 70-odd years.
Probably people would look at Brentford back in the day as a very small club, probably not much to aim for.
You know, you went to school and you wore a Brentford shirt. I know some friends of mine as well. They said they went to school wearing their Brentford shirt and they used to get bullied and people used to laugh at them.
Small club. We've
Yeah.
basically been described by opposing fans as a bus stop in Hounslow. You know, we've been looked down on. Like, you've got Chelsea, you've got QPR, you've got Fulham, you know, quite big teams local.
Well, like most people, I'm local, so Brentford were my nearest team, and it was suggested to me when I first started secondary school that I should support my local club, not the Leedses and the Liverpools and the Manchester United.
We're very much a community football club. We're based in a place called West London.
Well, this is Kew Bridge, and that's south of the river, and Brentford is north of the river. It's got its own community vibe.
But we're very diverse, really diverse, and I think that's what makes Brentford really, really special.
And we're equal distance from Heathrow Airport to the centre of town. We've got some fantastic football clubs in and around us.
QPR, Fulham, Chelsea and Brentford. That's what makes up the West London side of things. Chelsea, a team that we've only ever really played in cup competitions. QPR and Fulham have played in the Premier League. So they would be our rivals. It's brought us many joys, lots of heartbreak as well along the way.
And that's what we love about Brentford. It's a local club, local people, and we've all grown up not being there for the glory.
Very family-oriented club, great atmosphere. Everyone's sort of coming together, everyone's saying hello to each other, meeting strangers, meeting friends. It's a small club gone big. A small club made good.
So there've been many, many millions tuning in around the world now, thinking Brentford, till you woke up this morning, perhaps you'd never heard of them before. Here they are.
Brentford Football Club was established back in 1889, and like many good English ideas, its formation was conceived in a pub. 3 decades later, Brentford became an official member of the Football League, England's top-tier professional competition. But even locals would tell you the club have had little history of success. They've never won a major trophy and last played in the top flight of English football just after the Second World War, back in 1946-47.
You never used to go to Brentford for the football. You used to go to Brentford and have a laugh beforehand before your mates, after the match for your mates. If you went to away games, you know, you go to some places and saw some terrible football and you'd probably lose. So it wasn't really about the game.
Despite those decades of anonymity, Brentford did experience fleeting joy back in the early 90s.
The best victory for me, I can remember, is when we went up in 1992 and we won, which was then the third tier.
And when remembering that title-winning team, one man in particular comes to mind.
Oh, Dean Holdsworth. Dean Holdsworth, without a doubt. He's really why I got into Brentford as well. When you're a youngster coming to a game, all you want to see is goals, and Dean Holdsworth is a player that delivered them.
Here as Holdsworth makes it 2-0, and that's his 36th goal of the season, and that can't be bad, Ian.
No, that's good goal scoring, Jim. He really has done well.
In any division, that's good goal scoring.
That was just the best moment because nothing else had happened before that. All of a sudden, it's like Brentford have arrived. Unfortunately, we got relegated straight away, and then we ended up in the next tier.
And just gone down from the third tier to the fourth tier. The club was really struggling. But essentially, the club was being run by people rattling buckets outside.
Though they continued to wallow in the lower leagues, Brentford never lost sight of their end goal. The day they'd make it back amongst England's elite, a journey that would start by finding a new home.
So it's been a little while since Brentford were right at the top of English football, but this is a club with a great ambition. For example, they have planning permission for a new 20,000-seater stadium just down the road from here. That's almost twice as big as this one. And crucially, it's just big enough to play Premier League football.
We were previously at a stadium called Griffin Park, and that was our home since 1904. Probably best known in English football for having a pub on every single corner.
Griffin Park is where I fell in love with football. It was a very old, antiquated stadium, perhaps a little rough around the edges, maybe falling apart in places as well.
This move's been happening for about 30 years. They've been trying to put us all over the place, and eventually they found a ground which was in the manor, as we say. The ground is literally 15 minutes walk from our old ground.
It is a small piece of land. I always describe this stadium as small but perfectly formed. You know, to put it into context, I think the year that we left Griffin Park, we had 6,000 season ticket holders. We've now gone to 10,000 season ticket holders, and we're capped. Got a magnificent new stadium, so the handbrake's off now.
Still with Brentford, and the chance of the goal! Sergi Canos scores Brentford's first top-flight goal in 74 years! Brentford on the map, in style, they belong!
Compared to the other London clubs, it's a small club. And what makes it special is the achievements from such a small club. And the owner is a Brentford out-and-out fan.
Things have completely changed at Brentford. Our direction has completely changed because of our owner, Matthew Benham. He has seen this as a project. He's a boyhood Brentford fan.
An expert in statistical analysis, a former investment banker. And unlike most rich men that own British football clubs, his experience outside of football is relevant. He ran a company called Smart Odds, where you would join for a certain fee and you'd be given all this statistical information to help you bet on the outcome of football matches. So he's got this huge network.
He's got a very clear vision on how he wants this football club to serve its community and its fans.
He's got involved two directors of football, and directors of football in England are people who do the recruitment. One of them is a guy called Rasmus Ankerson, who's a motivational speaker, who wrote a great book called The Goldmine Effect about how you can do things on the cheap in sport.
I met Matthew, who owns Brentford, back in 2014. Matthew's background is obviously in football data and how to use that to exploit inefficiencies in the gambling industry. We realized we had a lot of similar ideas about how you could do things different in football. He decided to give me and Phil Giles the responsibility to restructure the football department.
We best have two people in the role because our skill sets, our backgrounds are quite different.
It's a bit of an unusual structure in football. We need to try and do things in a radically different way than our competitors because we had much less budget. Our business model has been about driving profits from player trading, and that's the core of our job.
It's just a revenue stream that is just the same for us as ticketing or hospitality or sponsorship. You have to balance the books. There isn't a bottomless pit of money here.
I mean, in simple terms, the recruitment philosophy of Brentford is to buy cheap and sell expensive. We've used all kinds of tools to do that. You know, try and identify players from markets, the teams that are a bit under the radar, really invest in developing the players, and then sell them on with a big profit.
Obviously, there's an element of sadness when you lose a player. Believe me, the amount of times players come and we all have to Google who they are and look up YouTube just to make sure we know who we're getting. There's quite a lot that we have to do that for.
I mean, I think fans here have been upset when we sold players in the past, but they've also seen that we've been able to find new players that come in, and 15 games later, no one talked about the ones we sold.
We got in players like Andre Gray, and we did really well. We got to the playoff semi-finals. At the end of the season, we didn't go up, and I remember Andre Gray was getting sold, and all the fans were really unhappy. I remember the directors of football said, "Don't worry, we get someone better." And we thought, yeah, there's no way. And then Scott Hogan came along. He was there anyway, but he came along. There's somebody came in for him. Don't worry, we'll get someone better. Vibe came along. Same thing again, and then Maupay came along. And I think by the time it got to sort of Ollie Watkins, we kind of relaxed because we thought, actually, tell you something, I think they kind of know what they're doing.
That model is not going to change. Obviously, with the finances we have now, it allows us to pick players at a higher shelf than we could before.
In the summer of 2020, Brentford's sage business model was on display yet again, when they plucked a striker from Peterborough United, then in the third tier for roughly $7 million. A signing who's proven he's worth every penny.
Ivan Toney. Oh, he's on your back, is he? How many goals is he going to score?
35, easy.
35?
Easy all day long, yes, absolutely.
What makes Ivan Toney so special, he was at Newcastle for a little while. He's one of only 2 Brentford players that have played in the Premier League. He's a traditional number 9, but Brentford like their number 9s to come back and help out. He's fantastic at that.
I think you're always going to have confidence if you've got a goal scorer in your side. Ivan Toney, he's shown that he can do it at Division 1 level. We weren't sure if he'll do it if he stepped up, and he did it at our level, on another level. I'm really confident that he's going to be able to actually cause a few problems in the Premier League.
Through the crowd it goes. Toney's there! On the mark for Brentford, as he so often has been.
They've done some really good signings during the course of the summer as well. Some sort of unknown players, because the way they've gone about getting their recruitment right for Brentford has been quite extraordinary.
We've got some gems in there, some of our signings. Frank Onyeka, I think he's going to be the next, like Kante and Didi. Like he gets around the pitch, he's a Duracell bunny.
David Raya, the goalkeeper, it's a really big season for him, obviously, because he's going to be under a lot more pressure.
Ethan Pinnock, that guy's a mountain. That guy's an absolute mountain.
Yeah. My personal favourite, though, to make it look as though I know what I'm talking about, played in the European Championships this season, Christian Norgard.
To the near post, it's allowed to bounce! 2-0! Norgard! Well, the crowd are loving that. And so's Thomas Frank.
He's loving it, isn't he?
He is a great orchestrator. He's just one of those magnetic human beings.
Thomas Frank was brought in under Dean Smith. He's had a lot of experience as a coach, never as a player, so he's that Arsene Wenger type, professorial.
First and foremost, I'm Thomas. I'm me, and from there, that core, the head coach, Thomas Frank, is developed. I've actually been coaching for 27 years. I got the opportunity to come to Brentford, but as an assistant manager, and I was a little bit in doubt. I would like and prefer to be a head coach or manager, but sometimes you need to take a chance and see the potential.
I think we built a trust with whoever had been the head coach, whether it was Dean Smith or Thomas. We work really closely together to execute the strategy, make sure everyone is aligned. And then Thomas is the head coach, and he does what a head coach does. He coaches the team and he selects the team.
He's a really, really good person. You can speak with him about football, about life, about if you have issues, if you have any problems. So he's a very open person.
He knows how to speak to players. He's never really too high or too low. He's really a really balanced character. He's not just a manager. He's like your friend. Like, he does take genuine interest in people's lives.
I think our culture is second to none. totally aligned strategy through everything. It sounds easy, it's not easy. It's every single day focusing on a lot of details, try to improve the smallest things on the pitch, off the pitch. I think the Moneyball is a good narrative that describes Brentford in a specific way. I think it's more and more obvious now is our culture.
Frank's philosophy worked wonders throughout the 2020-21 season, in which Brentford finished third in the Championship, and after advancing past Bournemouth in the playoff semi-finals, only one game stood between Brentford and a first ever trip to the Premier League promised land.
What a pleasure it is to be here, and what a pleasure it is to hear the noise around the stadium. And out they walk into the daylight at Wembley Stadium.
The playoffs were a Brentford idea. The top two go up automatically and the next four play each other in a playoff. Winner of those semi-final legs play in a final at Wembley.
Well, it does truly have that grand occasion feel. There's no in-between when it comes to the playoffs.
It's the magnitude of that game, the importance of it. We all know it is, literally you win or you massively lose. No, you lose or you massively win. Just look at the money.
The Championship final is what we call the richest game in world football. If you lose it and you stay in that second tier, your TV money is about £5 million. If you go up to the Premier League and you finish bottom, your TV money is £168 million.
There's a big build-up and stuff, and there's a little bit of anxiety to kind of just want to get out there and play.
Down there, maybe there are one or two thoughts about last year. Brentford were here just 10 months ago, of course.
I had to sit through the playoff final defeat when we lost to Fulham, and it was just an awful, awful experience because not having our fans with us made it really, really tough. But the belief and the attitude of the players going into that playoff final was incredible.
I was feeling confident. Obviously, we had the experience of last year. This year, we couldn't accept losing.
This second time round, we kind of had that extra bit of hunger.
The fans were incredible.
Stirring sounds at Wembley. Who will rise to the occasion?
It was always going to win. Always going to win. The boys' mentality is they know they're there to win and do a job.
I think we showed it the first 25 minutes. The whole plan just worked perfectly. Obviously, we got a pen.
Ivan Toney is going to accept the responsibility.
There's no nervousness in that. Never nervous. I've been doing it throughout the season, so I don't see why I wouldn't do it in the final.
Toney delivers again. The talisman for Brentford.
The second goal was a counter-attack. We've been practicing the counter-attacks the whole week, so it literally paid off.
But now Brentford have a real opportunity on the counter, 2-on-2. Here's Roeslev. Jon Toney, but Emilio is there! Extraordinary stuff! And puts Brentford in a magnificent position now.
Despite inventing the playoffs in England, Brentford have had a terrible record, the worst record of any other club. In various playoff, in various divisions, they've lost 9.
But those Brentford supporters have known nothing but hurt in these situations in the past.
I think we always think the worst.
I swear, 2 minutes before the end, Brentford are 2-0 up. They take it into the corner, and everybody around me, because I was with the fans thinking, we're going to screw this up, we're going to screw this up.
The curse is broken. The Premier League beckons for Thomas Frank and Brentford.
It was just elation, really. All the hard work that you put in the off-season and pre-season. Once that final whistle goes, it just makes it all worth it. The fact that we could have fans back as well was amazing to be able to share that moment with them.
It was an unbelievable feeling, the purest of joy that you maybe only experience when you see your children come. So that's fantastic.
Just to win a playoff final alone is an achievement for Brentford, because that was our 10th attempt to go up in the playoffs. To then realise that's getting you into the Premier League, I still can't comprehend it, if I'm brutally honest. I can't believe that my little old Brentford, as a lot of us refer to it, are going to be now facing the giants of England.
You had people crying after the game. It was so surreal. I couldn't really believe it. It just made me even more want to do my best and keep Brentford in the Premier League.
We made it. We did it. But that only lasts for, a week, if I'm honest, and then you move forward.
The first day of a new Premier League season, always a big day. But for Brentford Football Club, their biggest in 75 years and their very first taste of the Premier League. Tim, how do you like this sort of Moneyball club and this Thomas Frank style of play?
Well, I like it because it's been successful.
Charisma, belief, togetherness. They knew they could do this. They're doing it.
The great thing for Brentford is, when are they going to get that first win? An opening weekend, bang, Arsenal.
What a night in West London. And the Bees have stung the Gunners on the opening night.
They've had a season in their stadium, the euphoria from promotion, the new stadium, the excitement. It keeps you going for months.
A mixture of tears and smiles amongst the Brentford fans. We've had fans, we have a fairy tale.
We're coming into this league not to be tourists. We know that we're in the most competitive league on the planet. But, one thing is absolutely certain: we will give it everything we possibly can.
That's all we can ask for. As Brentford fans, we ain't been planning for this for 6 weeks. We've been planning for this for years.
I hope at the heart of it we still remain the community club that we've always been.
We will do everything we can to win the next game. It's only about the next game, Sky's the limit.
Well, you have to aim high. If you come just short, then you'll be all right.
I couldn't be more delighted for the fans and everyone associated with Brentford. It's been a dream for many, many people for many, many years.
I've lived in London for 12 years now. It feels like my home now. You saw all these people who've been here for generations, never thought that it would be possible for them to see Brentford in the top tier of English football. But that's what football is about. It lifts a whole community. A football club can.
I mean, when I first started coming to see Brentford, it was in 2007, we were taking about 4,000 to a game, and now we're in this massive new stadium. I'm quite overwhelmed, to be honest.
You never allow yourself to think too much about it. Maybe I should. Met a fan, and he said, thank you. I've been a Brentford fan for 35 years, been here when it was the lowest of low. Now we're in the Premier League. We've done so much. And it's not me, it's the players, it's the staff, it's all of us together. This is massive.
I think the fact that Brentford haven't got a history, there's no real sort of rivalry. So hopefully they should be everybody's second favourite team in this division.
The Bees have never had it so good. Sparking a celebration and creating a memory.
I would like to see Brentford rip through this division, because Brentford are the good guys.